This is Sisters Creek. It's about an hour out of Devonport. We're only about 1.5 k's from the ocean. We're on a red basalt soil, and this is sort of the family farm. It's just under 1,000 acres, but very mixed, diverse operations. It includes beef cattle, mixed cropping. We're growing things like onions, potatoes, wheat, barley, canola, poppies in the background, 26 hectares worth of crops, but in a 6-year rotation. So that way we get a good rotation for weeds and diseases. One of our main goals for the farm is to be sustainable yet profitable, and sustainable not just in making sure that we don't have soil erosion or just for the paddock side. We also are conserving the native forest and making sure that we don't degrade that by having cattle grazing it, not chopping down the tall dead trees, which are the hollows for the owls and the parrot. We've got little patches of bush in the middle of the farm that we've just fenced off. We've actually planted flowering shrubs to attract the insects, things like hoverflies and native bees, native wasps, all of those beneficials that have sort of got like a safe haven that they can go to and then come out into the crops when needed. We use IPM, where we only use insecticides when numbers get to a certain level, try and let the beneficials come in like the lacewings and ladybugs, but also we're not scared of going in with some chemical at the end of the day to clean up an attack that we know is not going to be controlled biologically. Trying to be the top 5% of production, sustainability and profitability all at once. We're doing things like grid mapping to put nutrient only where nutrient is required. When we do a grid sample, we're doing 2 samples per hectare. It's just one of those things where we can really make some big savings. When you do the grid sampling and then you start drawing a map saying, well, this area's already got enough nutrient in it and that's going to be 0. This area's only needs 200 kilos. Suddenly you're driving across your paddock and the spreader shuts off completely. It's very satisfying, but that's money in the bank. It'd be between 20 and 30,000 a year just in direct fertiliser saving. We also then use NDVI images to put our nitrogen on. Doesn't actually ever save you any money, it just puts the nitrogen in the right spots. What we're doing is we're improving the banks. We're putting less on in the gullies, which means we don't get the disease, because normally those crops would be too lush. Things would fall over, then you get your mildews and your rusts and your diseases then come into those areas. So by doing the variable rate application, we're finding that we're improving our yields across the board by being a more even, constant yield rather than all these up and down variables. It was very frustrating to harvest local grain. We're growing local grain, selling it to a merchant who's then selling it back to the dairy farmer next door to us. I did a Grain Young Leaders program through the GRDC, and then started a Northwest Grain Pool. Very simple, very open book. Locals trying to support locals. We've cut out a heap of freight, given the locals an opportunity to grow another crop in their rotation that was always a bit hard. Dad's always been a very avid bird watcher. Dad noticed that we had some tree martins. They were just in a tree and they were quite a rare bird. So Dad thought he'd put up a few old power poles with some nest boxes in. They love them, and we've increased the flock from sort of 6 to 7 to sort of, near on 30 now. We also have wedge-tails nest on the property as well. We have a sea eagle comes to the other side of the farm. There's an advantage for having all these birds of prey on the place because they keep track of our rabbits. It's nice to see the wildlife working around you. I think sustainability and, regenerative ag, all these fancy words everyone uses, we basically just want to be doing the best for the land for the next generation, making sure that we're not downgrading it, making sure that everything's, either going to be as good as it is now or better.